members so far. On the side of Fortnite, they place so much emphasis on Zir. They will not let that one get through. And wow, a LeBlanc ban coming out through as well, not wanting Rek to get an assassin.
Yeah, so 2 mid lane bans already. Azir, one of those champions that we've barely seen any of, as Janna, a very well-deserved ban as well. She is arguably the best support on this patch.
Janna is arguably the most annoying champion in the game right now. Just so frustrating to play against for a heavy engage comp. And OCE, we always talk about how much we love to fight. If there is anything that can get between us and a fight, it should just be taken off the board.
And I think in the last series we saw that as well. Tegan, maybe struggled a little bit through the early stages of both games, but his team fighting craft was incredible on that champion. That ultimate's just so good. Rek'Sai was the last ban as well. Endzone are going to hover a mid lane pick here. And interesting to see if Endzone do prioritize mid. They do actually go for Zed as well. 2 mid lane bans and they first pick a mid laner, putting a lot of emphasis here on Rekt in the mid lane.
Yeah, they certainly are. Lee Sin straight away for Naya being hovered over. As soon as Rek'Sai goes off the board, I think Lee Sin and Jarvan are the next tier in that jungle. Of course, Lee still does some work. Carlos has got hovering over Maokai at the moment. He does prefer to play tanky top laners, and I think as far as smooth power curves go, tanky top laners, Maokai is still a privileged option.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of good options in top, and it's funny that you mentioned jungle. I feel like there's a lot of limited options at the top, but once you start banning out those junglers and those top tier junglers, you get a lot of cool stuff that you can potentially play as well.
Yeah, as you said, it's hilarious. If you get rid of Jarvan, Lee Sin, and Rek'Sai, the champion pool is like completely equal from things like Pantheon, Elise, Xin Zhao can even be thrown in there.
Lulu, we've seen a bit Twisted Fate we saw as well.
Lulu, Twisted Fate, Amumu's been taken off the board this game. There's just so much fun stuff that can be taken into the jungle at the moment, but we will see Lee Sin once again being picked up.
Yep, so long time on those picks there. I guess Fortnite were just double-checking with everyone in the team, making sure they had the champions they wanted, but do go with Lee Sin and Maokai. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen Jarvan yet today, because he's, as you said, a very popular jungler and a great flex pick as well, also in the top lane.
Yeah, I actually think Jarvan is the best champion on this map because of his flex pick. We've seen him top lane extensively at the moment. Level 1 to 3, that guy is an absolute monster in the top lane and scales extremely well. Mid lane, I've seen him start popping up more and more to counters to a couple of the shorter range assassins. Of course, could do all right against a Zed as well. And then in the jungle, we've seen it for so long now. He is, yeah, as I said, one of the top tier jungle.
Really good. Looks like Nami did get locked in there for Rek, so pretty popular pick against Janna, kind of your... Oh, there is no Janna, sorry. Never mind. Pretty popular pick in general, still one of the better supports that's lying around. And Corki, very standard AD carry, is going to get locked in as well.
Yeah, Corki, we have seen him fall off a little bit in favor. However, still extremely good. Has that Trinity Force rush, and as soon as he picks up the Sword Boost in Trinity Force, has probably the best one major item power spike of all AD carries.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Fizz, I guess, who once he gets his Lich Bane just starts going to town on people. And Corki, once he gets going, if he keeps going, you have a lot of trouble here. But is that what I think it is?
That's not locked in.
Okay.
That's okay. That's just CNJ. A little bit of a hover over the Teemo there. Don't think it will be locked in. We have spoken about Kate, and if what I think will happen with this composition happens, I'll speak about why Kate is such a good pick at this point in the meta. But pairing it up with Thresh, not much synergy in lane, but Maokai Thresh have so much synergy in the mid game when they can start roaming and looking for picks. Maokai just, Thresh able to get Maokai into places he wouldn't normally be able to go. So nice synergy coming through there.
I think we see that with Sivir as well. As they are the two lock-ins there. Thresh and Caitlyn going to be that bottom lane for Fauna, who really taking their time with this draft. I like seeing a team that's very careful, really considering all their options before choosing, because you've got plenty of time. You don't have to just lock in immediately and keep going. You can, talk about strategy, talk about level ones and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty strong AD carry there in Caitlyn. Very popular against Corki especially as well.
Yeah, and just able to shove out the lanes. As we see, our first Jarvan hover would go well with the team comp because they've just so far built up a lot of CC on two very mobile carries. Zed and Corki, of course, Corki brings a lot of magic damage, meaning you don't necessarily have to take a magic damage top laner in. Although Cassidy being hovered,
be a pretty good one.
That's dangerous early game.
We'll see what happens here. Give Endzone a couple more seconds to determine what they want to pick here. And again, both teams taking their time here with the draft, but looks like we might be seeing one of the more popular junglers, and that is Jarvan, I believe, locked in. I think Cassidy's going to be their pick as well.
Yeah, so Cassidy, definitely one of the better top laners at the moment, extremely mobile. We are seeing a good mobile meta at the moment. Makes for exciting team fights in the mid game. The reason Cassidy is, I guess, difficult to play against Maokai is because level 2 Maokai can just W on you and start punching you. And he does a lot of damage, and Cassidy tends to spam abilities out, giving Maokai quite an easy lane with that passive coming through.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. You're sort of battling Maokai passive versus Void Pulse, but I think just in general, Cassidy's landing is not super hot up in the top lane. You kind of play him to be careful, use a teleport for an extra bit of mobility, and once you get going, hit level 6, and especially level 11, start getting the mid-game going, oh boy, are you a powerful champion if you have your farm.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit disappointed. It's not a Lulu mid, it is an Orianna, which kind of does the same thing. I've been seeing a lot of Lulu mids played with Caitlyn's, just because they can go mid at level 6 and shove the lane out so quickly and start taking objectives together. Of course, Lulu does so much damage with that help picks as well for Caitlyn. Gets her to a point where she has a much earlier power spike, but Orianna going to do a similar thing, going to be able to protect her, make sure that she's nice and safe from that range, speed her around the team fight, and Carlos has got is just going to be able to take that ball into the middle of the team for that nice big shockwave.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there's a bit more team fight potential there as well with the Wombo coming out. I think in general, looking at our Endzone's team, a lot of teams are playing tankless or very close to tankless nowadays. So I think it's a really interesting development in the metagame. It's really good if you can execute, but it's super high execution because you have all these squishy champions, all these hyper-mobile champions, and no real way to protect your carries.
Well, the one problem with playing tankless is it's very unforgiving late game. Because if someone gets blown up in a shockwave dissonance combo, which is definitely potential here with Moya, it just means that team fights turn very, very quickly. Yeah. Whereas if you run a tank-heavy lineup, if you get caught out of position, you generally have a little bit more time to disengage. In saying that, if you get the engage you want with a tankless lineup, you blow everyone up super quick.
And it's one of those things where instead of looking for, a quick 1-2 punch with the AoE combo, you're more looking to get and have longer extended team fights and abuse your mobility over a longer section of the map. So say maybe you're chasing through, I don't know, red side jungle, maybe around Dragon or around the Baron area, maybe towards 20-25 minutes. You start chasing the enemy team and chasing people down. Your team comp is way better in that fight than someone that's trying to find a big section and AoE you.
Yeah, certainly. And the other thing it does is it promotes good vision control. If you know that you can't get engaged on by a Maokai because you don't have a big tank-heavy lineup, then you have to control vision so well. After like the 14-minute mark, vision just becomes key. So look for them to really maybe even pick up a Sightstone on their jungle. Jarvan's seen it a couple of times, and try and control both the bottom side of the map and their own jungle.
And I think that's a good place to start here because Jarvan has a lot of work to do for Endzone here in this game. He's got to be present in the early game, play a lot of pressure, and just really get things going because these lanes need to farm, especially the Kassadin, and even the Zed kind of wants time to get going.
Yeah, Zed kind of has that one item power spike, but then kind of needs the second item quite quickly. So he has like that big spike where he might be able to get one team fight where everyone has it, but then people start picking up armor. He needs to get towards the armor penetration after the Blade of the Ruined King. Kassadin just excels as the game goes on. The more mana he can get stacked up, just gets better and better.
And then Fortnite, they kind of have pretty safe, pretty standard lanes here. Lee Sin to help pressure if they need it, and Maokai Orianna great farmers with a good aggressive bottom lane. But we are into the rift here for game 1 in this best of 3 between Endzone on the left and Fortnite on the right. And I'm going to be curious to see what these teams want to do level 1 here. Again, we've talked about it a lot, I guess, on the new patch. New jungle is very different, so it's always nice to see what these teams are doing early on in the preseason.
Yeah, and we have a fan actually coming out of Endzone, whereas a stack from Fortnite, recognizing that they do have the Thresh as well as a Maokai, so going to be able to go from some early pressure, and they haven't been spotted yet by Fenceboy. He needs to be careful about poking his head out.
Yep, does Trinket Ward though, so Fortnite now going to know that that's a revealed entrance of that jungle, so if they want to invade that way with their stack, they're going to have to think a bit better of it, and they will go the other way. But it seems like it might have been warded. Yep, Trinket Ward there as well, so nice coverage there from Endzone to kick things off. Really just making sure those 4 entrances are covered.
Yeah, and it looks like Carlos's God will be rotating around into the top side of the jungle, as well as Moya and Naya, so might be able to catch out a side of Jarvan as he exits. Yep, he's been seen as well, so everyone being spotted on the map so far. Not much happening in this level 1.
Quite a dangerous deep ward there, but I guess Endzone, knowing that Fortnite were all stacked up near that dragon, he felt like he could ward in. And that's really important, especially in this jungle, to get key early vision so you know when the major buffs are being taken, because they do so much damage.
Well, you used to ward a buff to see where the jungler is starting. Now junglers don't start at buff, so you either ward the Grumps or the Krugs, and then that will show you exactly where Lee Sin's starting. So from warding that and not seeing Naya rock up, they can assume that he is a Grump and he's going to be finishing top side of the jungle, which is so important for Kassadin. We mentioned that he has trouble against even a Maokai by himself until about level 5. With the Lee Sin in that lane, that becomes deadly.
Yeah, and not super relevant in this game, but also sniff out lane swaps. That was a consideration for Endzone as well. But there's Naya going to start on his Grump. We'll take it out and mosey over to the blue buff. And standard lanes to kick things off here in the first game of our next best of 3. We'll see which team is going to keep going here. It's double even, remember, in this tournament, so villains are still in, and immunity, of course, will continue in the next round from this series, and the same here between these two teams as well.
Yeah, so it looks like just a lot of pushing coming out of Caitlyn. We see it very often, just able to tilt over the wave. Ooh, as the hook comes through and lands.
Really nice. And looks like just a bit of harass going to come back and forth. Got to be careful. Exhaust burnt quite early there, actually. Drew going to keep running in. And there's the gank. Look like Logdog is doing quite the cheese here. Zaldo knocked up by the flag and drag. Here will get used, but there is first blood to Jarvan. CNJ's got to be careful, actually. Looks like Lee Sin was also coming in, but a nice level 2 gank there by Jarvan.
Teleported back to Season 2. I'm having flashbacks and nightmares. A level 2 Jarvan gank coming through. I actually thought that they exhausted extremely early, but they knew exactly what was happening there. Recognized that Caitlyn wanted to push and just took complete advantage of it.
And Moya doing what you want to do here as Oriana against the melee Zed, really bullying early on with that passive. Hits level 3 first and has a slight CS lead here. Rex definitely going to have to play pretty safe in the early stages of this lane.
Yeah, and this is brilliant on the side of Drury as well, as we jump back to us for a little bit, see our smiling faces, and now back into the game.
We're happy about that level 2 gang, that's for sure.
We actually see that this has made Carlos's God force the wave in. So this is going to make Yuri in the top lane much more safer as a laner in Cassin, and he's exactly where he wants to be, under that turret. Quite easy to farm, and just able to get in there.
Yeah, one of those things where Cassin a champion that a lot of people kind of think that, you know, you push him in aggressively, he doesn't have that many options, but his W helps so much with early game last hitting, and he's very safe and very happy, as you said, getting pushed in early on. So we'll see what happens. Cass actually leading in CS, just last hitting in minions to his heart's content.
Yeah, of course, it's much easier to last hit if you aren't trying to burst down the wave, as Maokai is. Just walking up and CSing it. Now the reverse push is in, but a nice gank coming in here from
Logdog is coming in. Moya's in a lot of trouble, actually. Rek in a flash forward. Good exhaust there, but Ignite will pick up that next kill, and Rek picks up his first kill of this game.
Yeah, able to get in there early. I called that a little bit early because I thought there was actually a ward, but then I recognized it was the blue side ward, so great gank coming in there. Able to pick up another kill for his team, and he's been instrumental in the early game.
Uri and Carlos has got just going to trade back and forth, but both with the crystalline flask. Going to be pretty safe up here in the top lane. And Logdog 28 doing work here. Spawn in the early stages of this game. That's 2 successful ganks for 2.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you have a damaged jungler versus a jungler that brings CC. The jungler that brings CC early game is so much more potent, whereas Lee Sin doesn't have that until he gets level 6 with that Dragon Rage kick. I just want to mention something about Cassinan that can be a little bit, I guess, cute against Maokai. He can actually afford to put a couple of extra points in his E if he would like to. A lot of Cassinans do go Q E at the moment, but just to help him push the lane out and be more potent in the teleports, you only really need about 3 points in your Q to mitigate a lot of the damage that Maokai is able to throw out.
Yeah, and again, Yuri's just playing this lane very, very safe here. Just wants to keep his farm up and get to the stage of the game where he's much more comfortable and able to impact all around the map with that teleport plus Rift Walk as well. And I like your point about junglers. I think Jarvan kind of has the best of both worlds in the early game, where he has both the CC and the damage to back it up with his passive martial cadence. So there's a lot of good stuff early on. We always talk about how strong the early Jarvan pressure is, and Logdog is doing, just really showcasing that already.
Yeah, 1-0-1, able to go in there. He picks up the Chilling Smite. Looks like he's going to go full tank Jarvan build. So we mentioned that they have a Cassidy in top lane. The response to that is to get Jarvan as tanky as possible, as early as possible.
I mean, we said they were playing effectively tankless, so Logdog's going to try and get some work done here. He's going to sponge as much damage as he can as he continues to do work here, but Endzone found himself a nice little lead, actually. 1,000 gold to the hook, does land it down the bottom. Fence Boy getting played back in, but he does back around. That's a great snipes him with the Q, and CNJ will pick up that kill. Naya's forced to flash out from under the turret, but that was surgically aimed by Lee Sin.
Yeah, that was brilliant to watch, and more importantly, the kill goes over to Caitlyn. That's going to get her going early. Maybe help her against the early spike that does come out from Corki. And that's a big wave to crash into the turret so early.
Yeah, Flying Drew just kind of has to sit there now, collect whatever CS he can, and try and minimize the damage done to this turret. CNJ going to take the lantern, will recall. Let's watch that again.
Yeah, and we see that Lee Sin comes in, and this is the cue we're talking about. Chilling Smite first to set it up, and he threaded that needle perfectly. Flashes out just to secure his life. I think it was maybe not needed there. Potion was ticking away, but just a great gank in general.
Yeah, and a nice demonstration of hitboxes there as well. He knew exactly the width of that Q, so beautiful stuff to watch here. And Fauna answer back with their first kill of the game as Lee Sin in spectacular fashion helps out. Rekt here, gonna come through, does poke out Naya. Zed quite scary now as well. Triple longsword to kick things off with 50 CS, and his ultimate ready now as well. Naya's got to be careful and not get himself killed.
Yeah, and Lee Sin, especially if you go after the damage item first, does remain squishy for a lot of the game. You see Lee Sin's compensate by putting a couple more points in their W generally, but with how strong the jungle is, if you don't have AoE to take out those Raptors, that splits again. People are now starting to level up to E second, so he needs to just avoid wreck for as long as possible.
Yep, looks like Ultimate's kind of being gifted across the board here as everyone's going to ramp up to level 6. Yuri has his now on Cassidy. Fence Boy, not quite there yet, still soaking up experience after getting killed by Lee Sin. Other than that, though, Ultimate's pretty much across the board for most of the solo laners here.
Yeah, and it looks like Carlos's god is now starting to struggle a little bit in this lane. Yuri's going to be able to chip away with that Catalyst. Does engage in, but as I said, look, the trade just going completely in Yuri's way, and he has the wave on his side of the lane now.
Yeah, I mean, Yuri just knows he can't fight with the cannon creeps, plus a bunch of other minis hitting him as well. And I like that he actually led the potential Rift Walk with the sapling really far back towards the turret to guarantee that damage as well. So a good trade here. Cassin, I think, still needs a bit more time here. Very defensive setup with his Flask plus a couple of potions and his Catalyst. But again, if Cassin gets out of this lane even or better, he is a happy man.
Yeah, he certainly is. As we see, farming still coming through in the bottom lane. Sanjay doesn't want to get too far forward, recognizing that there are some people missing on the map, but they really need to start doing some damage. Nice bubble coming through the lane.
Nice lance and good bit of damage actually done by the Tidecaller's Blessing, but we'll just kind of chill here. Nice actually snuck his way into the bottom lane as well.
Spotted.
Oh, never mind.
Ward in the brush above him. Wasn't able to get through there. They know exactly where he is. They're playing pretty far forward, however.
Yeah, the
Dragon Rage is available.
Jarvan's not here either. They have to be very careful. Fence Boy almost gets himself hooked.
That was so close. I don't even know why you would tempt that. No creeps were in danger of dying. Just back off and let the wave push into you.
Yeah, it's almost like they were bluffing a bait, but we can see Jarvan, he's all the way over to his red buff now as Naya's going to rotate in towards the mid lane. No, gives it a look. Looking at Dragon potentially.
The ward control out of Endzone is just so much better at this point in the game. Couple of pink wards around mid lane. They're completely safe from any games that this Lee Sin can put out. And you can see they're just playing so much more confidently.
Yeah, neither. I think just checking his fence was taking a lot of damage to the bottom. Like, Jew in trouble. Exhaust on a fauna. Teleport coming in the back. Now's the other teleport in answer, and CNJ is trying to get the kill. Yuri actually eats a snap trap as he comes in, and Fence Boy backs off that great hook there by Zaldo, and Yuri's going to come back in. Moya picks up wreck there as well, and CNJ's forced to flush out. Yuri running out there as well. Good bubble, making sure Carlos's god stays at bay, and despite two people teleporting from the top lane, no kills in the bottom.
Yeah, meanwhile, in the mid lane, something serious happened. We might have to be able to get a look at that because both Zed and...
Naya. Yeah, I just saw him glowing there as well. Zed managed to get the double, it seems like.
So Zed and Jarvan were picked up. Naya died. Something. I don't know.
Moya's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm leaving. It's dangerous here in the mid lane. It's Flying Jew will not check that brush. Carl's going to mosey on back towards his top lane. I think Fauna were hoping that gank would lead to a dragon, but instead they just have to back off and everyone's going to reset their lanes here.
Yeah, and looks like Cassidy will be able to get back up on that top lane. Wave looks like it is a little bit bigger, so pushing in his advantage now. Going to be able to pick up that CS. He's 10 ahead now with Carlos's god, so he's looking pretty in this top lane. Yeah,
and that Rod of Age is going to come at a very clean timing here for that Cassidon, so you should have that in a couple minutes. And pretty much anything before 14 minutes is stellar. So Yuri off to the races there with his build. Other than that, we've got Jarvan, as you mentioned, going tanky here. 2 Ruby Crystal items, a Kindle Gem plus his Ruby Crystal there. Brutalizer plus Buildwater Cutlass there for Rek, wanting a bit more early game damage and impact. Oh, that's a cute word. It's pretty easy to hit through that Dragon. Rek will clear out that pink ward. And Corki struggling a bit, doesn't quite have his fade yet. Still getting towards that Trinity Force here versus the pickaxe that CNJ already has. I think Caitlyn's been bullying a bit here in this bottom lane.
Yeah, certainly has been pushing in. That back that was forced out of Fence Boy wasn't forced, he just died actually.
That's forced.
Did ensure that CNJ got a little bit of an early advantage. However, Corki, as we said, that much more mid-game orientated carry will be able to farm up just fine.
It's just a matter of getting that Trinity Force at a time when it matters. So probably look towards 14 or 18 minutes there for that one for Corki. And if you don't recognize when that spike comes, things go wrong very quickly in team fights. And speaking of spikes, Moya's got a Merlin Nomicon as well. So not wanting to go for the Hourglass, wants to be a bit more cost efficient and more aggressive here. But that's a good item for Orianna to have nice and early as well. As we do prepare spawn for a first dragon sometime soon. Next few minutes you have to.
Yeah, definitely looking around the 11 to the 13 minute mark for that to start kicking off. That's a really brave buy from Moya to pick up the Morello Nomicon because obviously Jarvan is going to dive onto you as well as Zed, so hoping his reaction time on that shockwave would be enough to keep him safe. But we've seen some cool Zed shadow play. I don't know. We'll see how that one plays out because, as you said, very cost-efficient, good early game item. All that CDR and mana regen coming through, but just a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it is just your aggressive option here. We could have maybe had Tyrion to Archangels, which is a decent defensive item. And, of course, everyone's favorite Zhonya's Hourglass, which is just such a nice defensive build. But Moi wants to be aggressive, want to really, I think, contest for this first dragon, which is probably going to be our next big point of contention between these two teams. Some good ganks have come through, but the gold's very even here at 12.5 minutes. And these teams, they just want to make sure they have vision control at this point.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Naya actually getting spotted by wards all over the map. He needs to pick up a sweeper, and soon. I actually like to see, as soon as Lee Sins can get a sweeper and just swap over it, just buy wards if you want to use that hop to wards with your safeguard. Obviously, you'll pick up a side zone as soon as possible, but the more time you waste early game as Lee Sin getting spotted out, the worse. Oh, wow, he's going to come in here, I think. Did he get in?
Yeah, he's actually snuck in kicks. Drew back, does miss the Q, and a good tidal wave. We're at a 3-man knockup. Drew going to keep getting knocked through the box. Not quite getting enough time. Fenceplay almost gets a kill, but CNJ will secure Drew there. And a good attempt, but Naya did sneak into that brush.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wrecked again, kills Moya.
Well, there you go, Moya. Maybe wishing he had some armor in that mid lane now with a nice 1v1 kill. That completely equalizes out the fact that Flying Jude was popped in the bottom lane by a great game from Naya. Does not want to take that Lee Sin drone.
No, Jarvan coming in, does find him. Cat is out though. Good flash by Naya. Managed to get out from under that towards the safety of his turret.
But a flash for a Cataclysm, you'll take that every day. It's one of the most satisfying things playing Lee Sin jungle, as we see a replay. Wow, that kick was brilliant coming through. Misses the Q. And this actually meant defense point to do a lot of damage. Backed out after he hits the box. I actually think if he had played that a little bit more aggressively, he could have maybe picked up Zelda or Naya there.
Yeah, he did it both his summoners as well, so he could have just gone, just flash heal Valkyrie and really try and get double or possibly even the triple there. It is dangerous to try and kill a support like that because that's exactly what happens. Your 80 carries free to hit you, but for not get away with that one, you might have to say, and Naya sneaks into the brush for a successful gank this time. Blue going to get donated over here, and this is a great timing for looking to do the dragon as their next objective.
Yeah, around that 14 minutes, so this is one of the later dragons we've seen, as we see CNJ relentlessly pushing in this bottom lane.
I mean, why wouldn't you? You're Caitlyn playing into Nami Corki, that's kind of your job here. Corki, speaking of, almost at that Trinity Force now. Looks like you might have it around the 16-17 minute mark, so going to have a pretty nice timing there for that one. Zed, Blade of the Ruin King pinch for him. Roa's done for Cassidy as well on the easy side. And Sidestone there for Flying Juice Nami as well. Infinity Edge almost done for Kayla as we go through a few more items. And I think that is Righteous Fury for Maokai.
It certainly is going to be able to speed his team up and slow the other team down. One of the new fun items being introduced in the game. I like it. Particularly if you're looking at him to be the main game. And wow, Rek putting out a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, this is going to go in onto Moya. Pops a Deathmark, flash around. Shockwave will miss. And that's a nice little outplay there. Another solo kill there for Zed down the bottom. All sorts of shenanigans have been had. But they get away with it. Naya ducking down again. But no kills here forthcoming. CNJ, they will continue to push into this turret.
Yeah, they Fortnite are putting so much pressure bottom lane, but in the meanwhile, they've just let the mid lane go down. Nice game coming in through from Lee Sin though.
Yeah, Naya coming through, good stun into wall there, and Fence Boy nowhere to go with Naya applying great pressure. Wrap around the back turret, and that might be the first dragon of this game.
Yeah, that's pretty badly played by Endzone there. They must have known that something was coming bot because there'd just been a kill mid lane. The jungler was spotted. Looks like they're coming down River for a little bit of the game, but they've been spotted out. Nothing going to happen here.
Yeah, teleports are up as well, so both top laners can also join this exchange. And Endzone might get away with for not getting that dragon. Both teams take quite a while here. In fact, Logdog just going to pop in. Will he start it? Yeah, he wants to. They've thought about it. Scrying on will spot them out though as well. That's nice work there from CNJ, and that will mean Endzone to move off that dragon.
Yeah, and it looks like they're trying to take the Scuttle Crow. Naya. His team take a little bit of damage. They've started up now as well. This is so dangerous.
Yeah, they've got to be careful. Wards in pretty good places for these teleports as well. And Fortnite will pull off the Dragon Dance here. Again, both teams really jockeying for this first dragon. With the game this close and the gold certainly signifies that this first dragon is going to be very, very important.
Yeah, and it looks like neither team wants to give it up. And the easiest way to do that is just to take too much damage and have to back off it, give it away for free. So looks like both are playing super conservatively, just not going to touch it at all. Yeah, looks like
CNJ's IE has been finished up and the Berserker Greaves there as well. So big item spike there for Caitlyn. I believe Fenceboy has enough gold for that Trinity Force. So both AD carries going to be in very comfortable positions as we do enter into this mid-game section. of the game. And again, top lane is farming up as well. Yuri's done quite nicely, actually, with 148 to 124 in the CS front. With his role ticking away. I'm curious to see what his next item is going to be. But he's going to be a very happy Cassidy at the 20-25 minute mark. Yeah,
a nice balanced team coming out from Fortnite here, meaning that Cassidy may have to pick up that Zhonya's, because it's kind of, even though it gives armor, it's that dual defensive item because of that stasis passive. And looks like he is just going to be able to farm this one out nicely.
Just hanging out. So CNG will clear out the Scuttlecrab now as well. That will run away. Gives him a little bit of vision. I think 45 seconds. Zelda going to clear out that ward there as well. Nope, can't get it. Wanted to go for the pink, but couldn't quite go in. And other than that, we'll get snap-trapped here. And again, both teams trying quite hard here to see if they can get anything done. But Fauna are going to now group towards them. And I think this is probably a little bit better for where their team comp is at right now. Just trying to push down, use that Caitlyn's Infinity Edge, use that long range, and clear out a bit more of the map. And then I'll be able to actually move into the Dragon once I've got a bit more space to move around here as well. Looks like tower will go down. That's the second one of the game there for Fortnite, taking out that crucial mid turret. Corky is down the bottom, doing what he can with that bottom turret as well. And you see Fence Boy out of mana, probably got enough gold for that Trinity Force now as well. Looks like he should have that ready to go. And Fortnite now going to move in onto that Dragon, it seems like. We're going to clear out the wards here. Zelda going to clear them out in the back. And Naya will jump in. No, never mind. Again, pulling off. You've got to be very careful here in this particular situation. Decent amount of damage. Looks like Fortnite have started up. They are going to go for a wreck. Will get picked up. They did going to go in. Deathmark popping on a Naya. Good kick there. Wreck almost going down. But Naya does get bubbled up. Will get the kill though. Thankfully then they're now going to move it. Carlos is going to run defense. Yuri in the back though. He potentially going for a lot of kills there. Does get queued as Zelda gets quite low. He will go down though as Moya's going to get a kill. And that's 2 for nothing there for Fortnite. They're going to take out Dragon now as well. And that's the first Dragon of the game finally being taken out there. Fortnite with a nice little lead now, 2,000 gold ahead at 19 minutes. Really like the fact that he's able to move down that mid turret and clear things out. Boy now just going to check out the Raptors. Naya hanging out, going to clear out his Grump. And we did have quite nice items actually for both teams there. Ghost Blade plus the Blade of the Ruin King up there for Zed. Available in that team fight. Trinity Force I don't think was available at that particular time for Corky. But other than that, Easy just couldn't quite get position there, and you can really see how Maokai just brute forcing his way through that team. But able to create such a nice front line, and I actually love this build as well that he's gone for. Super team friendly. He was really trying to add auras, I guess you could say, to his team, with both the Aegis and the Righteous Fury built up there as well. So he's quite the team player here as Fortnite's Carlos is God. You can see Oriana's building up nicely as well as we've got almost as Onya's actually finished up here for Ori. Got about 350 gold to go as far as that completion goes. So looking good, and that despite the Morellonomicon potentially being a bit awkward in the early stages in terms of 1v1 potential, Oriana's going to feel very comfortable moving into this mid-game stage where Fortnite seems like they're just trying to group up a whole lot more and just force things. And you can see this game is going to devolve into quite an interesting little play strategically now. Naya is up the top. Deathmark will get popped out. He actually does follow him into the brush with the twisted advance. Good kick there into Wilhelm, but Wreck might be able to get out. He does shut off with his ultimate. Quite low. Good slow that does come through. Holog's going to come in, but Naya will take him out, and that's going to force Jarvan out over the wall with that flag and drag. See the rest of Fortnite collapsing as well in towards the mid lane. There's CNG getting his next kill as Flying Jew's Nami will go down. And Fortnite continuing to build a little lead here, about 3,000 gold ahead now in this particular game. Going to clear out wards around Baron as well. Not quite ready for that one. Probably got 5 or 10 minutes until we go in there. But just strong ward coverage overall. Fortnite moving their wards a little bit further now. And Easy, Endzone going to have to struggle a bit here as we do have split pushing coming in. That was sort of the next strategic element, I guess you could say, is we're going to have Zed now really strong with his 2 early items. Both the Blade and the Yoma's Ghost Blade are super good cost-efficient items that he can use to split push. And Cassidy's going to try and apply some pressure here as well. Tower, though, does go down kind of for free there as CNJ's Caitlyn just getting in there with the early Berserker Greaves, which is definitely one of the nicest features of that coming through. But Logdog looking pretty keen. He does want to go and get maybe look for a Cataclysm, but thinks better of it. Yuri going to come in now as well. Moya's got to be quite careful. Does take a good amount of pokes. CNJ will get out there with the net. That's a good Oriana ball as well. Deathmark's going to come through there for Zed out onto Caitlyn. Will go down. Yes, Zed does take out that kill. And now we're going to keep chasing in here. Yuri goes forward as Corky picks up a go into Moya's Oriana as well. Zoldo in a whole heap of trouble as Zed's going to take him out. Good kick for Naya will keep him alive for now. but there's so much mobility here, and these are the fights that Fauna do not want to take when they've got big open spaces that can put their Maokai in front and use all of their AoE and all of their protection for Caitlyn. It's great, but easy when there's a big scattered fight around the map. That fight basically went from the middle of the mid lane up in towards the back of the red buff there. Now Endzone are going to look in for this next turret here. That's going to be their third of the game. For anybody wondering, we are waiting back on Spawny. It's a pop out for a second, but I'm sure he'll be back soon. So if you're just wondering why I keep explaining things, that's why. But Spawn will be back shortly, guys. Don't you worry. As Endzone now going to continue running through. Looks like shopping time is prime for both of these teams here. Caitlyn actually returning with almost a completed static shift. It's going to be a nice little upgrade there as well. And Oriana getting aggressive here, finishing that zone is and going for a blue elixir nice and quickly here in this particular game. Lee Sin as well, almost at his Randuin here. Got his Juggernaut upgrade on that Skirmisher Saber as well. And his Sightstone also completed. And again, things just looking good. The Gold League kind of crushed down a little bit more now. Endzone were about 3,000 gold behind, earlier on. Now just 1,000 gold or so behind. So I've done a lot of work here. As it looks like we do have Jake Spawn Tiberi back in the building.
Yeah, sorry guys. Looks like we're not able to get that way. We do see the replay here as just a great team fight coming through. Rex goes so deep to try and pick it in there. Able to get it down. And the damage that comes through. Fantastic. Follow up. And this is what we spoke about with the no tank composition. Jumped for so long and wow, another team fight.
Yeah, I mean, these teams really just want to keep going in. Zaldo, good flash, picks up the kill. Adams to Logdog, flying Jew gets crushed down by the Oriana. Command attack plus dissonance. And didn't miss, you actually missed quite a bit, I should say. Lots of team fights happening. Easy got a nice mobile team fight moving through. Fauna with a nice big AoE near that first dragon. And now just position being jockeyed for. Fauna, though, seems like they've got a bit more control at this stage of the game.
Yeah, looks like they've hit that quite nicely. Now able to pick up some very tanky items on the Maokai. So make sure that Carlos has got is that very heavy one tank lineup. Whereas we saw pretty much perfectly between those two replays what the mobile comp does in their perfect team fight versus the burst damage that can come out of Fauna.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before. I just love this build from Carlos' God. Just the big, team-friendly, all the auras coming through. Got the Locket and the Righteous Fury there as well. Just wants to be a big team player, not interested in damage. He's going to be pretty tanky as he builds through anyway. And just, you know, big, friendly Maokai here. And kind of supporting this Caitlyn, this Oriana really nicely with the team comp. With both Lee Sin and Maokai providing good frontline as well. Looks like Dragon going to be up in 25 seconds or so.
Things going down right now. It looks like Caitlyn has been maybe killed.
Oh, Yuri there doing some nice roam. This is the other issue potentially here is Endzone have a lot of really strong split pushing available to them with both the Cassidy and the Zed in this game.
Yeah, well, with Cassidy, if he gets you in a position where he is relentless and it's so hard to get away with him as he stacks those Rift Walks up, maybe employ the buddy system here. If you are on 4-0, not go anywhere without that big friendly tree as you were mentioning.
Looks like Cassidy's teleport is up as well. So if Fury wants to come in to contest for this dragon, they can, but Fauna are going to try and group up again. And last time this happened, Endzone did not have the most fun team fight here. Zelda going to look out, does get bubbled up. Damage coming in, but look at the defenses there. Even Lee Sin coming through. Oh my goodness, the good triple knockup actually into the tidal wave there moving in. And now Logdog in the back trying to do the damage he can. Deathmark pops in, great shockwave there with a good amount of AoE damage. The teleports have come through as well. There's just carnage here on the Rift. There's Zek with the shutdown, 3 for 2 right now. Carlos is going to get chased out now. Now C&J will rejoin back in. And as the dust settles, actually a win there for Endzone. Looks like C&J wasn't quite ready to be back in that team fight.
Yeah, that was kind of a 4v5, and wow, C&J getting absolutely jumped out there.
Yeah, he could be in trouble. Rek going to run forward. Does get the kill there. Now Fence going to run in. Yuri actually popped the zombies there. Carlos going to get slowed through as well. And have had a pause here.
Yeah, and you just see straight away Cassidy's eyes lit up as soon as C&J stepped a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, and it's just, again, one of those things where you can't afford to be out of position as 4-0. Your comp is all about grouping together, big defense and support from Maokai and Lee Sin, protecting your key carries here, your Caitlyn and your Oriana. The issue potentially, though, is that comp's quite low damage.
Yeah, well, they're good upfront burst damage, and then very good really prolonged damage as long as they don't get popped. If that Oriana goes down, can't give the defenses to Caitlyn, provide that mobility through that dissonance, and then Caitlyn just falls prey to the Cassidy.
And kind of one of the cool things about this mobile kind of tankless comp that Endzone are playing is that they've got a lot of upfront burst damage, and they kind of come in and out with a lot of bursts as well. So we are going to pop back into the game here. It looks like Carlos died. I'm going to assume...
Yeah, this is just a replay of what we saw happening here, where they got a really nice 3-man knockup. So this all starts with the Flag and Drag going through the tidal wave, which has blocked everyone up. Even though a nice shockwave plugged in, there's too much damage coming out on the side of Endzone. Nice Valkyrie over the top to pick up that kill as well. And Carlos's God is probably the only member that can't get chased down.
And I guess one of the issues, as we saw, is that, yeah, good shockwave, but it was only for damage. There was no repositioning, no peeling, no like mass CC effect there. It was just pure damage shockwave. And Orianna, Morellonomicon, into the zone is because she knows she's afraid of Zed, doesn't have the big flat damage that Void Staff or Rabadons would give you in that situation. And when Caitlyn and Orianna aren't both in position to do damage, you just don't do that much with a single shockwave.
Yeah, and the problem is even though a good shockwave was hit there, you still lost the team fight. So what does that do for you mentally? You're like, okay, I did my job. I hit a nice shockwave. We didn't have Caitlyn, yes, but we still got decimated in that team fight. Like, what do we need to do to actually win this against this really, I guess, a Cassidy that's coming into his part of the game?
Yeah, I think just a bit too aggressive from Fortnite defending that dragon there, because they got the next one. They know it's a good spot for them to fight in because they've got their big team fight team. They're the ones that want to be forcing 5v5 engages, but you can't really force a 5v5 when your Caitlyn's been killed by Cassidy on the other side of the map to start off your team fight.
Exactly right, and I think that's what they have to understand. They need to be a unit. If they're not a unit, they will lose, so just don't let it happen that way at all.
Yeah, and it's just really cool again. Both teams playing pretty polarizing team cons, you have to think here. We are going to pop back into the game once again so that we've resolved any potential technical issues, fingers crossed. And everything's going to be hunky-dory from here on out. Looks like Dragon will get started up now by Endzone. And they can look to pick up their first Dragon of the night.
Yeah, and they will definitely have this one through. Fortnite is currently in their base, starting to get out there, so they'll have a rough timer on it. They'll have the exact timer. They have a ward in the pit. So looks like Endzone able to pick that one up, and that is so important for them to continue to run smoothly through this game.
No, they're going to snipe that drop. We'll take it out as well. Be able to clear things through. Just kind of looking through. Corki. I think this is something you might have quite an opinion on, Jake. I know you're a big fan of talking about builds and thinking about the game, of course. And Corki has done what I have come to term the Chinese Corki build, because they always build their damage with Trinity Force Sawtooth, and they go straight in for the Blade of the Ruin.
Yeah, and I like to call this the horrible Corki build, because statistically it doesn't make sense on him. I guess with how big Maokai is without resistances is the only reason I will give this build any credibility at all. I just think that Infinity Edge provides so much more raw damage, and as Cassidy is going to scale off, you're going to have Zed start split pushing. Infinity Edge, if you pick up a Phantom Dancer late game as Corki, actually does a tremendous amount of damage.
I think in general, it's just a lot about wanting to duel your opponent and just make that third item path a little bit smoother is the big thing here. And it does help. You can argue that maybe the attack speed helps with auto attack or even with your spells and stuff, which is very important on Corki. But I know where you're coming from, but I just thought I have to point it out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And there is a legitimate differences in opinions about AD carries for this. There's two trains of thoughts. It's like, do I want to go with that big burst damage with a crit on top of a Trinity Force proc, or do I want this consistent kite ability to be able to get away from the Lee Sin Maokai? So I can definitely understand where the build's going from. I just don't necessarily agree with it.
Makes sense in their comp as well with their lineup. The thing to think about. Looks like Zelda going to look for a hook. Drew could be in trouble. Good bubble. It does not hit CNJ. Great tidal wave though. Will follow in, but there's the ultimate. Will get blocked off there by Logdog, who takes barely any damage after popping that Golden Aegis. But Fortnite again, sticking as a unit here, trying to prevent Endzone from split pushing. And Naya, he is going to go in flying. Drew, you have found a new friend. Teleport actually coming in. They really want this Nami.
Yeah, that is a lot of resources expended for maybe one, potentially two at that.
Shockwave running in as well. Logdog in trouble. CNJ did pick up the kill on Nami, and there's Orianna going to take out Jarvan as well. With a big counter push up the middle now for Endzone.
Yeah, really nice response here because they're in on the inhibitor turret. So recalls coming out furiously from Fortnite, but this is probably going to fall.
Yeah, last switch plus Ghostblade and the Blade there for Zed. Not quite pure AD damage, but more than enough to rip through that turret. Looks like they're going to offer a trade here for the first one and try and defend that inhibitor turret. Naya and CNJ will pick that up, but the inhibitor is going to go down there, and Fortnite, a little late on those recalls, probably wanted to get back sooner.
Yeah, Endzone completely out-rotating them around the map. Looks like they will try and get this second one, but 2 members are up. Nami, and in a second, Logdog28 will be back up. Maybe able to get the inhibitor turret, but definitely not the inhibitor.
Yeah, C&J gets sniped by the bubble as well.
So bad.
Good exhaust coming through for Jude. Looks like he will going to go down to Nairi. Kicks him in the face. Logdog actually now going to kite around the tower, doing a lot of work up against the lead. Everyone coming out. Logdog forced to go through. Does pop the Q there. Ultimate will hit as well. Little Warthog then for an extra auto, and Naya chases down that kill. But Corki will take out Caitlyn. Endzone defending the inhibitor turret with a sliver of health.
So this is going to be 2 for 2, and the inhibitor turret is going to live.
Which is crucial, given that it does regenerate health, and quite quickly at that as well. Corki also the recipient of those 2 kills, so Endzone's fence boy going to get a big surge of gold for himself as well. And this is a key moment in this game. You're approaching 30 minutes spawn. Baron is on the table now as a big objective. Dragon still relevant as well, moving in towards the late game with both teams, I think, having 2 on Fortnite side and 1 on Endzone side. If I recall correctly, Dragon was started quite late in this particular game. But those are the kind of trades you can't afford. And Fortnite, after making the mistake of losing their mid turret, kind of realized that they were priced into trying to take out the next one.
Yeah, they really gambled on that one. I think more importantly, it's where the goal went that really put an Endzone in the driver's seat for that particular trade. They got 2 kills onto Corki. What did Fortnite get in response? Them onto Lee Sin, who maybe isn't the best recipient at this point in the game for that goal. And
I really like what C&J's done with his build as well. Sin, Fortnite really taken advantage in this game by aggressively sieging. And I know they just kind of made a bit of a mistake in their mid lane, but this is all about taking out turrets and doing big upfront damage with your Caitlyn. Double BF sword item with the IE plus BT components and the static shift on as well. He wants to siege all the time, and Logdog is going to dive through the cataclysm, come through land and blue land, but it does not matter. Yuri now going to dive in, and there's no way he could get out. Yes, he can. The hook does come through. Box moved in there as well. C&J still under pressure. They do peel for their AD carry, and Fortnite doing so much work. Corki, though, taking out Lee Sin. The hook does not convert, and 4v4 now, Jake.
Fantastic Mikhail's there, stopping that hook coming through. As we see Rek trying to get the flank off. Nice sapling, however. That's Righteous Fury being popped.
It is. We don't see that one very often. I think we both just gave each other the same look. And Fortnite now will run back to their base to defend it.
But wow, what great peeling coming out of Fortnite there for that fight. Maybe to lose another turret, but looks like Fortnite are right there to answer with this one. So yeah, just trading 1 for 1.
Yep, going to defend here. Tier 2 turret shield going to help out a little fence by getting in for the damage. Has to be careful, though, does not want to get eaten by a stray hook or a Maokai initiation. But Caitlyn's going to come back in. Rest of Fortnite going to recall, spend their gold as well. Orianna now becoming that damage that we talked about. That Dragonflight Shockwave didn't do that much damage. Now with the Void stuff in the mix as well, Orianna's a big threat on this Fortnite team now as well.
Yeah, and the Baron being started off on top of a ward. No sweep was available. They used it to try and set up a gank rush. And Zed face checking a Thresh.
Yep, Zelda coming in. He wants to go. Throws a land now for a bit of a buff. No, it's not a buff. Carlos is going to go in this whole time. He's here still doing the Baron. Oh, Rek, he gets out with a shadow. Carlos will flash over. Flashes out though as well, will Zed.
There are so many low people. Fortnite should just turn around and do the Baron right now.
Great block there for Fence Boy. The ultimate will keep Zed alive, but you're right, Fortnite are just going to turn on this Baron, and Endzone have no good options left here. They've got to poke so well. The Baron is low as well. Tidal Wave does come in. Will they secure the Baron? They do there. But Fence Boy gets a kill on the Thresh. Now in trouble though. Shockwave does just clip Logdog, who goes down to Orianna. Now Fence Boy getting chased through as well. Yuri's going to try and help peel, but Naya will pick up that kill. Shutdown though does come through as that Lee Sin slays Corki. Now Kassadin slays Lee Sin, and Carlos is going to fight here. Flying Jew goes down to a sapling, I believe, that was left in the pit. Moya's out as well on Orianna. Oh, Carlos is dead. Yuri though, he's just gotten so many kills. Will he check? No, doesn't check it in time. Flicks the wrong way anyway. And a bloodbath there, but the Baron goes to Fortnite.
Yeah, so 4 for 5, but the Baron goes to Fortnite. In the meantime, the base has been absolutely ripped to shreds. They've nearly lost 2 turrets in that bottom lane just because of how big that minion wave was. We'll be able to push off, and we've mentioned it before, those turrets do regenerate, so we'll be quite okay.
I think one of the nice facets of the comp that Endzone have here as well as we maybe going to slow things down a little bit here. When you have a super mobile team comp like Endzone and you're trying to have longer extended team fights to pick people off, when you have an inhibitor down on the enemy side, your job is so much easier because your team comp is designed to drag out team fights and constantly annoy the opponents, and you've got the double pressure of people not wanting to get picked off and die, but also your base being pressured as well. So Fortnite kind of ran out of good options there around that Baron.
Yeah, they certainly did. They looked like they could turn, and I thought they could burst it a little bit quicker than they did. Looks like Endzone are going for a dragon here. But that's a dangerous move. No teleport on Yuri, whereas Carlos's God is up. They must know that. Right now, if they start a fight, this is a 4v5.
Yuri's running down there. He's going to pop, presumably a couple rift walks to get there closer. In fact, they're just going to delay things here. Maybe pick the big wave that's down in towards the bottom lane here and just back off here and try and get some vision down. Yuri should be able to join them at time. It seems like Moya maybe has to be careful as well. Good ball placement.
Teleport coming in.
Yeah, instantly comes through there. Zelda going to look for a hook. Duke could be in trouble, but Fauna are going to go in now onto this dragon. It'll be their second if they could claim it. Yuri wants to go in, but there's an easy dragon going out for Fauna. And a little bit of a mispositioning there from Endzone, you have to think.
Yeah, and now Fornot's inhibitor has respawned as well. They can take advantage of the one Baron buff they have less and siege down this mid lane with it. They've, of course, got that Caitlyn who has now picked up that BT as well as a Ruby Crystal. Maybe looking towards a Banshee's Veil to try and get herself away from that castle.
Yeah. Potentially, as we are going to see just poke now being used again. Fornot with a great siege comp here. That super powered cannon creep as well. Going to make this that much easier. Fornot do not have a lot of Baron left. They're going to get a lot of work done with what they do have here. Next wave was likely going to take out this tower. Baron did drop, though. No, never mind. Moya does still have the buff. So that should be a pretty clean turret.
And this is what I was going to say when I was thinking about Caitlyn in Champions. Like, if you give her a shield, she can get a Bloodthirster and just chip away at the turret. As we see them forced completely away, this is going to be the inhibitor unless they go right now.
Yeah, they don't want to go hook now, running out by Zaldo as well. They want C&J, that's the target. Logdog is in position, but they just can't force a fight. I mean, that's not the game that Endzone's team comp is designed to play.
Yeah, and the problem is that Naya had a really nice flank there, so if Lockdown had have flown in, probably could have tied C&J up. But the kick that can just disengage the rest of the team meant there would be no follow-up there, so Lockdog wisely not going for that engagement, instead just give up the inhibitor.
Yeah, Rek's gonna ravage that poor blue buff. Level 16 Zed. He's got a lot of damage, actually. Merc Treads, almost a BT finished up, plus 3 damage items as well. The 2 purple ones that Blade of the Ruined King, plus the Ghost Blade, as well as that last Whisper. So if he can get into a split pushing situation or just get onto a carry and kill them, Rek is going to be doing a lot of work here for Endzone if they're going to pick themselves back up in this game.
Yeah, and now that Lee Sin, he picked up those kills and it's just made him extremely tanky. He's picked up a Warmogs as well for himself. He is so big, Naya, on Lee Sin. And when you look at how big Carlos's God is, how big Naya is, you think that if these team fights start extending further and further, maybe they start swinging away from Endzone unless they can get onto C&J. That is now key.
That's one of those things as well, Spawn, where I feel like this game looks so close. It's one of the things I love about this patch is that the gold lead is no longer the best indicator of who's winning the game. But I feel like given the position we're in and the team comps and the way the Dragons have broken, I believe Fortnite are up 1, I think they're the team with the advantage right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. And they look like they're strategically playing this one just a little bit better. In saying that, Endzone have set up a... Oh, no. Scouted perfectly by a nice battling there.
Yeah, and this inhibitor
now the race is on to get back into the base.
That inhibitor turret, by the way, did not regenerate that much. Yuri going to get picked up here. Shockwave comes in, picks up Rex with a lot of damage. But now Naya going to go in there as Logdog dives in. Moya does pop the zombies. Kaylin picks up the first kill and it's a good double wobble coming through, but it's not quite enough there for flying through. Yuri trying to poke back and forth in there as well. Cassidy going to pick up that kill on the Caitlyn as Jarvan went down as well. I think Endzone might be able to defend it. Fortnite are very low. Yuri's doing so much work. Triple kill there for Cassidy. Fenceboy now going to run in. Can he make it the quadra? He wants it as well. Fenceboy will get the double. That completes the ace for Endzone as well. And what a defense.
C&J lived for so long in the backline and then made one mistake. Let Cassidy get on top of him, went a little bit too far forward, and wow, did he make him pay. Yuri came up absolutely massive, and Fenceboy, the best thing about double assassins, if you're an AD carry, there's just so many threats that aren't you. You can hit whoever you want.
And Corki, in big stacked fights like that, can really get in with his short range. And when he's in range for all his spells, he does stupid amounts of damage to people with Gatling Gun, plus all of his spells mixing in there as well. So Fenceboy, that was an easy team fight for Yuri and Fenceboy to clean up, and they did so admirably there. And that's going to tie the gold up once again here in Fortnite. With that mid inhibitor respawning soon for Endzone, I think we've reset to probably an even game now, Spawn.
Oh, wow. And Cassidy has just launched himself ahead. 4 completed items now, 8-2-8, as well as the Infinity Edge being picked up on Fenceboy. You would think that that may be the power spike they are looking for to maybe start clinching a couple more things.
We'll have to see. Banshees did get completed by C&J, so going to make any potential survivability, which is a big deal here for Fortnite's AD carry. quite a lot easier as we go through the team fights. And we mentioned that high mobility comps can be quite hard to play and very execution heavy. I think that's also true here of what's effectively a 2 damage comp here from Fortnite.
It certainly is, and we just saw the importance of keeping CNJ alive. As long as he's alive, it looks like they're winning the fight.
Yep, so a tense game here with Baron's coming back up soon. That next Dragon's going to be available as well in about a minute 15 or so. And we've got quite the tense game here for game number 1 of this best of 3, as these two teams are going to once again jockey for position. Fortnite, though, going to stream down this mid lane, looking very aggressive. These are the fights that Fortnite want to pick. Nice open spaces, can really just get everyone lined up and use their big team fight pressure to kind of bully Endzone out of the rest of this game.
Yeah, Fortnite are picking that bottom inhibitor. The problem is the Baron is now live, so if they go anywhere near that, unless it's just Carlos's God by himself split pushing, but even then, teleport probably takes too long a channel from what CNJ will survive without Carlos's God next to him.
And I think the other thing as well is that when you think about split pushes, I don't think Kassadin comes up very often, but especially compared to Maokai, Kassadin's actually quite good at split pushing down waves here. So they've got a lot more options when it comes to splitting up the map here and try and break up Fortnite's team comp, and Fortnite are kind of priced into just sticking together and forcing as many big head-on team fights as they can.
Yeah, and more importantly, at this point in the game, Kassadin can just 1v1 Carlos's God and stop the teleport coming through from that Q, of course, which stops all channel. Not a silence anymore, but still stops the channel.
Again, both teams going to jockey for position over this Baron. We've sent Rekt up to the top lane for Endzone here. He's going to try and split push. No, actually hits the recall button. So Endzone are going to regroup towards this mid. Their inhibitor does come back, and that's a good defense there. Great timing of that objective by both teams here as want to try and look to push in.
Dragon is back up now. This one will fall a lot quicker than what the Baron will. So Fortnite in position to pick themselves up another Dragon, and unfortunately with the back timing from Rekt, that will be going down, but in response, Endzone straight Baron.
Yeah, Naya knows what he needs to do. Saves that smite as well. Very important in that situation. That's 3 Dragons. I believe that's the movement speed boost as well, which is kind of convenient given that they have to go over to this Baron now that Endzone have started for themselves, and this could go all sorts of wrong here for Endzone. Hooked there onto Logdog. Not quite at the one, but look at the damage there for Caitlyn. He's going to jump in box, so placed nicely. They're going to try and stick together here. Carlos has got to jump in onto Yuri as well. Good shockwave there. Picks up Rekt as well. Naya gets that first kill. Kassadin takes out Orianna, but CNJ still alive with plenty of health to go, and he is shredding through the members of Endzone. There's Zalo getting get bubbled up there by Flying True. There's the double for Corky. Can Easy turn it around? Fence blow so low. Yuri goes legendary there, and there's the clean out for Easy. 5 for 2, and what on earth was that?
Flying Jew just saved that team fight with the triple bubble. That was so big coming in for Endzone. Able to swing it for their team, and with a mid inhibitor down and the death time as being this long, you would think that this will be at least 2 inhibitors, maybe not the game because of where the minion wave is.
Yep, gonna go for it. Yuri gonna work on that top lane turret, takes it out. Fence boy and Flying Jew. The heroic tag team in that last team fight. Pick up the mid inhibitor for themselves now as well. Endzone, no, not gonna play this super safe. Will take the objectives that pretty clearly they can take here with 10 seconds left on the first member of Fortnite. This tower's going to go down. Will they take this next inhibitor as well? No, not confident in their ability to take that out. So Fortnite lose a lot, but not too much there.
Yeah, only 1 inhib and an inhibitor turret. So this game balanced on a knife that they did not want to give away the Baron. So they chose to back off, played it nice and smart as a team. Fortnite looking to get there anyway.
And that's exactly it. I mean, Easy kind of recognized that we do not want to get counterbaroned in this situation, and Naya is actually running in to check it very quickly. Does pop a ward down, so they do now have vision of the area. Big minion wave for them down the bottom as well. But unfortunately, Fortnite can't really take advantage of the side lanes here. They do need to control them so that they have more hold around the central area of the map. But their team, again, really does have to stick together here, pretty much hip to hip. And Kassadin's going to clean out that bottom wave, and he's got teleport, and of course super mobile as well if he wants to join in. So we're going to reset for this Baron once again spawn.
Yeah, and looking like Kassadin was looking for a Lich Bane or maybe even an Ice Maul Gauntlet as his final item coming through there. Ice Maul Gauntlet, a little bit less conventional, but just provides so much stick and chase potential out of Kassadin that it's not a bad pickup in any situation. And with that farm, 300 CS now nearly on Yuri. He is an absolute monster. 10-2 and 10.
Yeah, just a beast here. And Endzone have got themselves a nice gold lead, actually, about 4,000 gold. That's a lot of turrets and quite a few kills there as well. With a lot of gold being distributed, of course, to that Kassadin that you mentioned. 3 Dragons still on there. Fortnite definitely have that lead here. And got that first Baron as well. So we'll see what happens here as we look to take the rest of this map. And we're going to move into a pretty late game here, it seems like. We're approaching what probably going to be a 50-minute game just based on where we are, even if a next team fight happens and a team wins it cleanly. Who do you think has the advantage in the late game for just given the compositions and the builds we have?
I think if you put both teams on 6 items, they give the advantage to 4-0. But right now, and within maybe the next 4 to 5 minutes, I think that Endzone have a really good advantage with how strong they're casting.
Corky finishing up that Banshee's Veil as well. He's fully stacked now as well on his Corky. I guess needs a boot and channel. Maybe if he wants to sell these boots and go for a 6th item, he can. But everyone is powering up a lot here for both these teams, and Endzone just seem to have such a massive strength here. Even Logdog now is going to join in the split push game.
Picking himself up some much needed CS there. He's, of course, the one tank for his team. And that Dawn Mail as well, which is a nice pickup. Seems that C&J is the person that is probably the most important player on Fortnite, you would say, right now.
I mean, his job is just to jump on Caitlyn and sponge as much damage as possible. And looks like Baron is going to get started up here by Endzone. Caitlyn a little late to this party. Now he's going to pop a ward in and check. Endzone immediately back off that Baron. And they're going to look in, do find Moya, forced to flash out there. But again, as you said, it can't get them for a flash as a trade you'll take any day of the week.
Yeah, unless it's Fortnite fight right now, that is such a good trade because Orianna needs to be able to follow Caitlyn around the map. So if she gets locked down, killed, Caitlyn just loses so much of her defense. Has been able to pick up that last Whisper though, so that is key because it means that Dawn Mail, that Sonya's Hourglass, not going to be doing as much for their team. Yeah,
and both of these AD carries, pretty much 6 items here at this point, save for the boots if you want to count them. And again, these teams will consider this Baron. Good pink ward there. I guess Easy have a slightly better time of the Baron control, given that the map's basically at neutral, but they're on the somewhat favorable side for Baron here, so a little bit more space to move in. But both teams really just want to poke in. Nobody wants to get caught. Yuri, though, going to try and find a pick. Does get hooked in there by Zaldo. Good shockwave. Will pop on, but he pops his on. He's another teleport. Going to come in, and Carlos is round the back here for Fauna. Going to try and peel off Logger, but Moya taking quite a bit of Jarvan. Jarvan will get out. Naya so low. Looks like he will be the first to go down here. Now Flying Dude is going so deep there on that Nami, and wrecked in the backline. Picks up the first one on the threat for him. Yuri legendary now as the damage just jumps in, and Endzone wiped the floor with Fauna 5-0.
Yeah, they cycled people on top of C&J until they were very low, then got them out. Really well played, and it was all started off from the top laner again. Coming up huge, able to jump in, slow everyone down, and then just Zonya's maybe a TFS move there, and that will be the game on the side of Endzone.
Absolutely will. Endzone with a great finish here to our first game of this best of 3. And what a game to kick off the series here. Always wonder what things are going to be like here as we do see which teams get to qualify for the OPL. Of course, on this patch as well, which is, still kind of being worked out by every team in the world. And, from every level, from the amateur to the pro level, all around the world. So, really fun stuff. And for me, that game just showed how cool the objectives and the mechanics on the map are now, because that was back and forth the entire time.
Yeah, it definitely was, and it showed how you can play different strategies on the map now, and they can accomplish very different things. Heavy engage in AoE teamfight versus chase and the assassin mobility trying to get on top of C&J. A beautifully executed team comp coming out of EZ.
Yeah, just great to watch. And again, really like both the comps, but we do actually have a replay. It looks like it might be our last team fight here, Spawn.
Yeah, it looks like they're just grouping up, and this is where they go in and just start up with Baron. Straight away, they fly in, and they need to get a ward into the back of the pit just to stop it from going down. Actually, no, this isn't the last thing. So this is where Rex gets caught, but then able to survive with a slither of health. So he gets caught up here, but able to get back into the Dragon Pit, does a nice ultimate, then flashes over the wall. But all of a sudden they fly in. Carlos is gone, gets in there, flashes over the wall, maybe uses his flash preemptively, but it keeps Baron aggro. And what this does is it means that we can take the Baron. Look how low they are, but a lot of incidental damage coming out from Baron. They are able to pick it up, but Zelda gets blown up. C&J has to get over the wall to try and get away from Barry, and then has to slow mobile, able to clean him up, and from there just able to really wipe the team fight.
And he talked about Yuri here, kind of the star of that game, I think, once we had the full 48 minutes or so play out. Ended up with a massive score, that 11-2-14 to end his first game here as Kassadin. And just, even in that team fight, after you pointed it out in the last one, did a great job real walking in and popping that zone. He's very TF Messiah-esque move there as well, baiting out with the Golden Cassidy. And Cassidy pretty scary once he gets going.
Yeah, and I think that what they recognized in that fight is even if they went even in that fight, maybe it was 3 for 3, they had such an advantage with their minion waves. Of course, took out that bottom end, nearly took out the inhibitor turret, took out the tier 2 turret in there, so able to pick up more gold for themselves and really start swaying the objectives on the map.
Yeah, really good stuff. And after that game one, can't wait to see the next one. Hopefully you don't leave me before we start the next game too, but guys, we've got to a quick break. We're going to have the next one here between Endzone and, oh my goodness, my brain just died. That's awful. Endzone and Fortnite, thank you.